Hi. It's good to see you. So today is November 5th. It's Monday, and I'm going to tell you about what we did in class today. So if you look on the board, I can explain factors necessary for a hurricane to form. So we went over land breezes and sea breezes, and I'm going to show you that on the back board here. So let me bring you over to the back board. Oh no. Sorry. Okay, so on the board, I think I might have explained this to you before. So we have a land breeze and a sea breeze. So on the land breeze, we learned that when the sun is shining, so in the lab that you guys did, and I know you guys did this with me last week, you learned that the land heats up faster than, let me put you here. Let's see if this works. So if you look over here, the land heats up faster, so therefore hot air rises over the land. That hot air rising gives me a low pressure. The cool air comes down over the ocean, and that gives me the wind. Winds are named from where they're coming from, so that is called a sea breeze. So this is a local type of wind. We learned last week that high pressure goes to low pressure. So our wind is always going from high to low pressure. And to put it with the lab that we learned, sand and the land heats faster, so the hot air rises. We get a convection current, and the sinking part of the air causes our sea breeze. Compared to a land breeze happens at night. So we also learned from the lab that the land cools off faster. So when it cools off, that means there's more warmth in the ocean. So the hot air rises over the ocean and sinks over the land. Again, we name the air from wind from where it's coming from. So now it's coming from the land, and my low pressure was over here with the rising air, and my high pressure is over here with the sinking air. So high to low pressure. High to low pressure. This is called a land breeze. So we reviewed that. So make sure that you keep looking for that. Then we did the practice packet, and we went over the practice packet. And what I did is I'm just going to show you. Let's show you these. So here's the key for these for the notes. What I will do on here is I will send this to you. But the 4 things that were found on the weather map were large-scale weather systems, highs and low pressure, fronts, and precipitation. We start number 2 because we need to remember that So I'm just going to discuss this, and I know it'll be right side up when you get it. We start number 2 because we need to remember that wind always goes from high to low pressure. That's super important. We also, on number 3, fair weather is sunny weather, and that's in a high pressure system. And then a low pressure system is always going to be stormy weather. Here's all our air masses. This is a review we did from class zone. The first day we were doing weather, we wrote down all these air masses. This is the big picture. Because we have these air masses and they form over land or they form over water, land is going to give us dry air, water is going to give us wet air, and then if they're on a continent, they're going to give us dry, maritime is going to give us wet. But if in their equator area, we're going to have tropical air, which is going to be warm, and if they're up by the poles, it's going to give us polar cold air. So once these air masses start moving around, then we have, that's how we get the fronts. So because of the Earth turning, we're going to have these air masses moving. When these air masses start moving, they bump into each other, and we get the fronts. So let's see. Number 7, we have an advancing cold air mass. Displaces our warm air mass. Number 8, an advancing warm air mass replaces our cold air mass. On the back, we have cold fronts. The temperature goes down in a cold front. The humidity goes down in a cold front. Pressure goes up, and we have changing winds. In the warm front, we have temperature going up, humidity going up, pressure going down, and shifting winds. The difference between the precipitation between a warm and cold front. A cold front, here's the symbol for a cold front, is going to be fast moving at or behind the front, and the warm front is going to be raining, drizzling ahead of the front. Number 11, stationary front. Both of them are not strong enough to go over each other, so they're going to stop, and that's the symbol for it. Occluded front, the symbol is half circle, triangle. They're on the same side, and we've got a cold front catches up with a warm front and overtakes it, and then there's also like another cold mass on top. When you looked on the weather map, the cold front was in Washington, Texas, and Atlantic, and the warm front was in Idaho and Ohio. I wrote Iowa, but it's Ohio. And the stationary front was Colorado and Virginia. The low pressure was 1024. The high pressure was 1024. The low pressure was 1008. In Denver, it was 5 knots. The wind was to the west, 75% cloud coverage. Portland was 5 knots. The wind was from the south, 100% cloud cover. And then Miami was 1 to 2 knots south and 50% cloud cover. I will also send you this answers on this paper and the answers to this paper. And so you can check your work. And on this one, there was important information that you have to read on the front and the back of this. These are weather forecasting models, and they give tons of information about the weather at that area. When I come over tomorrow, I'll help you with that if you have questions. So that's what we did in class. We were just going over all these papers from when I was gone with the sub. If you notice on Classroom, there is 2 articles on the hurricane. So if you read both those articles on the hurricane, then you'll be able to do the work learning about the hurricane. So I'll come over tomorrow during lunchtime or after your lunchtime. I'll go over any questions that you have about these answers, and we'll start talking about hurricanes. So until then, I will see you later.